Coming up on Sports Paws, the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team comes back from Maine after getting swept by the Black Bears, taking on another Hockey East opponent in the UNH Wildcats.
And the women's soccer team looks to take on two MAC opponents this weekend after just losing their first MAC game in the past 2 years.
And going from the turf to the grass, Rugby takes on Dartmouth in one of their last regular season games of the year.
All that and more coming up on Sports Paws.
Starting right now.
Welcome to Sports Paws. I'm Jack Bergman, he's Connor Core, and tonight we've got a massive show ahead of you. There are 14 games, starting with the men's ice hockey team this weekend.
Yeah, Jack, that's right. The team had 2 games this weekend against the New Hampshire Wildcats out of the Hockey East.
Quinnipiac taking on a familiar Hockey East foe in UNH. They got swept by Maine last week, looking to flip the script. Connor, it's game time. First period action, Tyler Borgula intercepts a pass and fires it 5-hole for the score. Bobcats up 1-0.
Yeah, later in the first, Dylan Silverstein slams the door shut on UNH, and on the ensuing possession, Bobcats working through the neutral zone. Andon Serbone finds Jeremy Wilmer open and goes bar down, opens up the score, and Bobcats up 2-0.
Later in the first, Aaron Bollinger is going to get a pass near the blue line, taking his time, and he fires. Alex Power is there to tip it in for the score.
Now let's head to the second. Jake Babbage, former Quinnipiac transfer, throws the puck on net. Scrum at the front. Silverstein once again makes a great save. Score remains 3-0.
Off the faceoff, Mason Marcellus takes the puck. He finds Aaron Schwartz, who pulls a spin-o-rama for the goal. It's now 4-0. Bobcats having a whale of a time.
Speaking of whale, he would get replaced after that goal, and UNH would score on Silverstein, but later on, Jack Ricketts, just seconds later, finds the back of the net. Bobcats go up 5-1 and would blow the game out of the water. 8-2 is your final score. Schwartz, Wilmer, and Marcellus all multi-point goals scoring, and Dylan Silverstein, 34 saves, gets his first win of his career.
Yeah, Bobcats back in action the very next day. Silverstein back in net for game 2. Coach Pecknold clearly liked what he saw in the first year. Into the first, Marcellus fires to Schwartz. He sends it back to Marcellus, but Whale slams the door, keeping it scoreless.
Later in the first, Charlie Letty, the Boston College transfer, gets a poke check. It remains scoreless.
Liam Devlin gets the puck on a breakaway, but he sends it wide. No cigar there.
Later into the second, Cy Leclerc, he's going to steal the puck here in the neutral zone, head to the O-zone by himself, takes on Silverstein, and finds the back of the net. Wildcats up 1-0.
The Bobcats turn the puck over again, but Silverstein shuts it down. Score is still 1-0.
Later, last minute in the second, Ryan Conamy makes the defender turn on itself, sends the puck down to Devlin, leaves it off for Nick Ring for the score. Filthy sequence here. Wildcats go up 2-0.
Let's get to the third. Wilmer tries to find Travis Traylor, but the Wildcats keep it scoreless.
No less than a minute later, Traylor in deja vu mode finds the back of the net this time. Different result, cuts the lead down to 2-1.
Uh-oh, here comes a fast break. JP Turner gets the puck past Silverstein. Wildcats 3-1.
Last second effort for Cooper Moore sends the puck near the net. Borgula extends his goal scoring streak to 4 games, but the Wildcats escape 3-2 over the Bobcats. Treloar gets his second goal of the year. Silverstein has another 30-save day, but this time gets the loss.
This marks the first Bobcats home loss during regulation in 2 years. Q30's Ava Heaton has more.
February 25th, 2022. That was the last time the Quinnipiac Bobcats fell in regulation on home ice. That was until tonight, where they fell 3-2 to the UNH Wildcats.
I thought we had some chances. We had chances, and we found a way to score one, but we gotta get another one. Obviously, we need to play better. That's in the end. We got to get better. It's a young team with we got a lot of transfers, and it's just it's a work in progress.
The Wildcats took down the Bobcats with a strong performance on the defensive end, led by goaltender Jared Whale, who had 17 saves on 19 shots against.
Jared Whale was excellent. He was the best player in the game. I thought he was outstanding early. We had a lot of chances and just couldn't finish. And in the end, we need to get better.
Head coach Rand Pecknold reiterated that the team needs to improve, as they have lost every game that they have conceded the first goal in, many of which have come off of mistakes.
We need to get better. The first goal, it's just a brutal turnover. It's a 1-on-5. You got to move it north. take that bad penalty, then they score on that. Freshman takes a stupid penalty. Like, we gotta, we need to grow up. We gotta be better.
After a trip to Holy Cross next weekend, the Bobcats will be back on home ice Friday, November 8th against the Dartmouth Big Green. Reporting for Q30 Sports, I'm Ava Heaton.
Yeah, thanks, Eva. There were upsets across the board in men's college hockey, like we just saw with UNH taking a game from Quinnipiac. The men's hockey team continues to slip down the polls. It's time for the number 14 team in the country. Boston College remain at the number 1 and number 2. Boston University dropped down to 5 after getting bashed by North Dakota over the weekend. This is the lowest that Quinnipiac has been in the USCHO rankings since March 23rd of 2020. There is not a player from that season's team still on the roster currently. Certainly new territory for this Bobcats team.
On Wednesday, the women's soccer team got back in the win column with a 1-0 victory against the Manhattan Jaspers. Anna Bean scored the first goal of her career and the only goal of the game. The Bobcats utilized their stifling defense and limited the Jaspers to only 1 shot on goal during the whole game. Graduate goalkeeper Sofia Lospinoso secured a new career high with her 10th shutout of the season. She's now at 31 career clean sheets as she continues to run away with the program's career shutout record.
And after securing the Wednesday win, Quinnipiac took on Iona for their final home regular season game on Saturday. Quinnipiac facing up against Iona on senior day. 12 graduate students and seniors honored prior to the game. Gwen Hoyt, the senior, getting the start in the game today. You see everyone right there. We're going to head to early on in the first half. 5th minute, early on in the game, Hoyt's going to swing the ball around to graduate student Victoria Foster. Foster's going to be guarded by Deline Smith, and Smith's going to win that one, making one-on-one with Hoyt. And she's going to find the back of the net. Iona up 1-0 early on in the first half. Now the Bobcats are going to have a chance to respond in the first half a little bit later. Rachel Roman, from a free kick opportunity, goalkeeper gets the touch. Madison Alps puts it back in play, and Victoria Foster, after making the mistake early on, scores with her stomach to tie it up at 1. Heading into the second half, Lo Spinoso got the start in the second half, but Claire Bankston goes bar down. Takes the lead 2-1 for the Bobcats, and that'll end up being the game-winning goal for Quinnipiac, getting the win 2-1, going first place in the MAC conference. Like we said, Sofia Lospinoso playing the second half and getting the win. The program also had their QU Fights Cancer game on Saturday. Q30's Brandon Murdoch explains why it means just a little bit more to the 2-time defending MAC champions.
On Saturday afternoon, the Quinnipiac Bobcats defeated the Iona Gales 2-1. But on a weekend that saw the Bobcats celebrate the returning alumni and also receive their championship rings from last season, something bigger was being celebrated.
The Bobcats were celebrating their breast cancer awareness game on Saturday. The day is more than just a game for the Bobcats. As for them, it hits closer to home. As a current athletic trainer, Olivia King was diagnosed with cancer and has gone through chemotherapy in the last year.
It means a lot more to us this year than it has in past years, obviously. Liv King last year was struggling with breast cancer, and I think that this was for her. She was the one who got us these jerseys, which makes it that much more important and that much more to play for, so I'm glad that we got the win today.
King has been the Bobcats athletic trainer since June 2023 and has also been the athletic trainer at Army West Point for the men's and women's lacrosse teams.
For us, the connection with Liv, who went through chemo last year, Todd, who played here, Todd, their coach, played at Quinnipiac. That's why honouring him, someone who's gone through it and having to deal with it while he's coaching.
Prior to the game, the Bobcats had a table set up for people to get shirts, as well as several signs up throughout the stadium. The players also wore new pink jerseys for the game.
While soccer might be just a game, breast cancer certainly is not. Players and coaches at Quinnipiac certainly understand this. Reporting for Q30 Sports, I'm Brandon Murdoch.
After the big week, Quinnipiac midfielder Clara Bankston was named the MAC Rookie of the Week for the second time this season. You just saw the first year from Sweden score the game winner over Iona on Saturday. Bankston also recorded an assist against Manhattan on Wednesday. She's got 3 goals on the season and has recorded a point in 4 of her last 5 games.
With just 1 game remaining in the MAC regular season, we turn our attention to the latest MAC women's soccer standings. 2 spots remain up for grabs in the new expanded playoffs. Quinnipiac is currently the first place with 1 loss on the season before taking on the 2nd seed Fairfield this upcoming Wednesday.
The last 2 playoff spots are entirely wide open. Iona has 4 wins, but Sacred Heart, Mount St. Mary's, Ryder, and Marist all sit at 3 wins apiece. It's going to come down to the last week of games to see who the Bobcats will play in the first round. Quinnipiac is guaranteed to host at least a quarterfinal match in the tournament. Heading back to the ice, women's hockey had their first conference games of the season. Q30's Meg Buckley has more.
The Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team was away this weekend in their games against Brown and Yale. On Friday, the Bobcats fell to the Bears 2-1, with Brown netting the game winner with 2 seconds left in overtime. The Bobcats' goal was scored by Jenna Donahue, her first goal this season. Then on Saturday, the Battle of Whitney Ave took place with Quinnipiac and Yale tying the game. Naomi Boucher scored for Yale, and Taylor Bruschi scored for the Bobcats with her first collegiate goal in the second period, and this game puts an end to Felicia Frank's shutout streak. It is also the second time these teams have met where they have gone into overtime. The Bobcats are home this weekend as they take on Clarkson Friday, November 1st at 6 p.m., and St. Lawrence, November 2nd at 3 p.m. For Q30 Sports, I'm Meg Buckley.
It's another week and another update to the women's USCHO hockey polls. After splitting the weekend with unranked Brown and Yale, Quinnipiac moves out of the top 10 for the first time this season. The road ahead does not get any easier for the home at this weekend. The Bobcats will be taking on the number 5 Clarkson and number 7 St. Lawrence at home. It'll be a tough test for the Bobcats. Both Clarkson and St. Lawrence defeated them twice last season. Brown also received a ranking after beating the Bobcats. It's the Bears' first appearance in the top 15 since 2006. We've got to take our first break, but there's still plenty to discuss in and around Quinnipiac athletics. Rugby went head-to-head against the top-seeded Dartmouth in their final home game of the regular season.
And the men's basketball beat staff breaks down this year's newcomers. Don't go anywhere. Sports Paws will be right back.
Where did the time go? I don't know how I got here.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
This year, celebrate Vote Early Day.
And make your voice heard.
Each year, the amount of people voting early grows.
And this fall, over 250 million Americans can vote early.
In person.
By dropping off their ballot.
Or mailing it in. With so many options, you can vote when it's convenient for you.
Election Day is the last day to cast your ballot.
So the question isn't why vote early.
It's why wait. Join the celebration and find out how you can vote early at voteearlyday.org.
I debate all day. It's what I do. But there are some things that are undebatable, like your mental health. I was in a dark place when my brother passed away in a car accident. I was depressed in ways I never imagined. I reached out, and my sisters came, my pastor, my therapist. They helped me get through it. I found that the more I spoke up, the healthier my mind became. When you love your mind, you can go so much further. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org.
I don't remember how it started.
Talk to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. Don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. The rugby team had an uphill battle against the number 1 Dartmouth Big Green on Saturday. Connor, Quinnipiac hasn't beaten the Big Green since 2017. As you can see here, Quinnipiac honored their seniors before the game. Let's take it right into the first half. In the 15th minute, Annie Henrich takes the ball all the way, losing a few Bobcats. Just look at the acceleration there. She's like Lightning McQueen, ka-chow.
Now, as a Steelers fan, I would think that it would be Najee Harris, but I think for this example, Lightning McQueen will work just fine.
She puts Dartmouth up 7-0 early. In the 27th minute, Dartmouth on the attack again, looking to double their lead. It's a scrum near the goal line. Connor, where's the ball? Dartmouth gets it out, and Vasiti Toragayu barrels into the try zone. Big Green go up 14-0. Second half, Dartmouth up 21-3. Layla Cox says she wants to break free. She runs down and chucks it off to a teammate. Then she gets back up. Out of the scramble, she picks it up from her teammate and slams it in the try zone. Bobcats cut it to 21-10. In the 65th minute, Dartmouth gonna spread the ball around like Patrick Mahomes, swinging the ball all the way down the right side. One pass, two pass, red pass, blue pass. Caitlin Walker punches it in for the try. Dartmouth leads 26-10. In the 69th minute, Dartmouth looking to seal the deal. Connor, are we seeing double? Walker scores again for the Big Green to blow this game wide open, makes it 31-10, and the Bobcats would not complete the comeback, dropping the game 31-15 to the 6-0 Big Green. Earlier this week, men's basketball head coach Tom Pecora announced his captains for the season. This list included all 4 of last year's returning starters. Graduate point guard Savion Lewis, junior forward Amari Monroe, senior forward Alexis Reyes, and graduate center Paul Otieno. Lewis, Monroe, and Otieno were named to the All-MAC preseason team. Monroe was also named preseason player of the year. Lewis and Otieno are returning captains from last year. These captains have a lot of responsibility this season, with 7 new players arriving in Hamden.
Yeah, Jack, no kidding. Now, Q30's Nick Boyd and Beckett Calkins have the full breakdown of the newcomers. Guys?
Thanks, guys. The men's basketball team has 7 newcomers entering the 2024-25 season, 5 first years and 2 transfers. Let's break it down.
We're going to start off with Braylon Ritvo, 6'8" combo forward from Mark Bishop Stepanak. Lit it up at the Hoop Hall Classic. Beckett does a lot of his shooting off the catch. He is lethal in the pick and pop. Great screen there to get the opening, and I love his shooting form and touch. He's also crafty on the inside too. Spin around, get up, big man, off the glass. He's a hound on defense too. Reads that passing lane, swats the ball out of the air, and he can turn turnovers into points. I love how he plays in transition. We talked to Coach Pecora earlier in the week, and he had nothing but good things to say about his length and physicality.
Nick, let's stay in the front court with Grant Randall, the do-it-all forward out of Putnam Science Academy. Randall is very lengthy and flashes that athleticism, 6'9". He can jump out of the gym, but he's also a very confident outside shooter, and that athleticism helps him with the ability to move and impact the game off the ball. Randall's outside shot should be a spark plug for the Bobcats offense this season, but it's not just offensively, but also on the defensive side of the basketball. He can defend all 5 positions, and including a steal and a transition dunk in their scrimmage against Seton Hall. Coach Pecora was loving that one.
His versatility is going to be special this year, Beckett. Jaden Zimmerman, though, another guy with sky-high hype around him. 6'5" combo guard. He is a fantastic vertical athlete. Shakes his defender off the dribble. Put him on a poster. He's a threat anytime he gets the ball in his hands. Great off-ball moves here. Cuts for the easy baseline jam. And he can turn defense into offense. Can read passing lanes like they're magazines. And he's got a nice transition play. Tough finish at the end there. Love his shooting, too. The tough contests don't faze him. And I just love how he moves into his shooting stance and gets open looks off ball. He's going to have some insane highlights this year, Beckett. It'll be fun to see how he factors into that guard room.
Speaking of the guard room, East Catholic Samson Riley, another guy that's going to try and earn minutes for the Bobcats in that backcourt during his first year in Hamden. Riley, he can really shoot the basketball, whether it's catch and shoot or off the dribble. He does have confidence off the dribble, and he's not just a one-dimensional player. He's going to be a pest in the passing lanes as well, knocking down shots and getting back on the defensive end and getting those steals in the passing lane. He can throw it down as well at 6'2". He's familiar with running that high school level offense. We'll see what he can do during his first year at the Q.
He was running point guard in open practice yesterday, so I think you're right. They are going to turn him into a point guard going forward. How about Spencer Way, though, the 7-footer from the UK to round out the freshman class. Played with the Austrian U23 national team over the summer. Great vertical athlete. Watch out below when he's got the ball in his hands, and he gets most of those open looks off the pick and roll. He's an elite rebounder. A ton of second chance looks and buckets, and contact doesn't faze him on the inside. He really rips the rim off on that putback jam. He's a block machine, too. Good luck scoring on him in the paint. Only thing he doesn't do a ton of his shoot, but he has been working on that outside shooting in practice. And the Bobcats have really lacked his kind of size for a while on the interior. He's going to be a beast this year, Beckett.
Switching to the transfer portal, a notable offseason transfer of Ryan Mabry. Mabry is another guy that can really shoot the ball, but what's undervalued about Ryan Mabry is his size. He is 6'5", and he is very, very athletic with that frame. He's an elite all-level scorer, whether 3 points, mid-range, or getting down hole, using that athleticism to his advantage. In a family full of hoopers, he's the youngest one and was kind of as the underdog growing up. he's a guy to watch out for in his first year after coming in from Miami, Ohio.
Coach McCour's had some good things to say about him. He might be the number 2 option this year for that Bobcats team. Last up, though, Akintola Akiniyi's walk-on transfer from Army, 6'7" forward. This guy's strong as an ox. That is 5 plates, and he's making it look easy, and he uses all that strength. Plays with a ton of physicality. He can throw down some monster jams, vertical athleticism off the charts. And he's a force to be reckoned with in the post. Great bag of tricks to go with that strength. And he's a good rebounder and paint defender for his size. He can really play well in the paint. 7'2" wingspan, that helps him out there. Not a ton of outside shooting, but he'll be a fun physical prospect for this team to work on this year.
That's all we've got for the 7 newcomers on the men's basketball squad. Should be a fun season for the Bobcats on the court. Sending it back to you guys at the desk.
On Saturday, the volleyball team took on Quinnipiac, sweeping the Golden Griffins in 3 straight sets. After the first set, going 28-26, it was all Quinnipiac, dominating and outscoring them 50-30 in the last 2 sets. Elena Giacomini led the team in kills with 16, and Damala Ganesh led with 34 assists.
Now the following day, Quinnipiac was able to defeat Niagara on the road for the first time in program history. Leilani Kaijusta and Ella Giacomini both had 14 kills. Now, number 14 will be consistent. This is the 14th time these 2 outside hitters have both had double figures in kills this season in the same game. The Bobcats are barreling down the stretch red hot as this game marked their 7th straight win. Similar to women's soccer, Fairfield and Quinnipiac are fighting for the top spot in the conference. The 2 teams will square off again on November 3rd in Hamden. If you recall, Fairfield and Quinnipiac squared off in last year's MAC championship. The Stags are still undefeated in conference play.
Ryder, Canisius, Niagara, Sacred Heart, Iona, and Merrimack round out a competitive top 8. With plenty of games left this season, these standings are sure to shake up by November 21st when the MAC volleyball tournament begins. As the volleyball playoffs run ramps up, let's sprint over to cross country. Q30's Spencer Decker takes a look at the Quinnipiac women's cross country team.
In preparation for the MAC championships coming up next week, the women's cross country team went to CCSU to compete in a mini meet. Great opportunity for head coach Carolyn Martin to get some of her first years out there, and she did just that. With first year Ryan Kelly going 47th place in the 3K race with a 10:44, finishing 47th. Sophia Jones 60th place with a 10:58.5, and right behind her, Christina Gonzalez 68th place with an 11:09.5. Now, this is a huge race, but the biggest race of the season coming up next week for both the men's and women's cross-country teams in Montgomery, New York, the MAC Championships. The women's team looking to go back to back to back. That's all I got for cross-country, but coming up next on Sports Paws, the women's basketball team back on Leonard Court to start their season against Southern Connecticut State University in a preseason matchup. We'll see how that one turned out. And also the biggest part of the night, top 5 plays, you're not going to want to miss it. That'll be right here next on Sports Paws.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing that keeps us focused. A habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game, to drown out the self-doubt and support your mental health? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and mental health. Discover the resources you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
On Friday, the Quinnipiac field hockey team took on the Old Dominion Monarchs. Lucia Donati scored her third goal of the season, but it wasn't enough as the Bobcats fell to ODU 2-1 in overtime after midfielder Emily Tamero scored a game-winning penalty corner. The Bobcats have now lost 8 straight against ODU.
Now, the team suffered a similar fate on Sunday against Sacred Heart. Sophomore Katie Shanahan scored her first goal of the season to take the lead early on over the Pioneers. But in the fourth quarter, Sacred Heart's Bridget McLaughlin and Megan Albert scored within 4 minutes of each other to secure the 2-1 win over the Bobcats. This is now Quinnipiac's 11th straight loss, their longest losing streak since 2021.
The team celebrated Senior Day on Sunday as well. Q30's Patrick Walsh spoke to some players' parents after the game.
On Sunday, before their 2-1 loss to the Sacred Heart Pioneers, the Quinnipiac field hockey team celebrated Senior Day. For many of the seniors, their families were on hand, and this is what they said about celebrating the occasion. It's like the culmination of an amazing journey. It's not easy getting to a D1 program. She puts so much time, effort into it. It just feels like you reach the top of the mountain, and it's exciting. In some ways, it's nice to turn the page and go on to what's next, but field hockey will always be a part of her life, and she loves it, and I think she'll be coaching young kids along her road the next chapter.
Oh, it's awesome. It's a bit emotional, of course, because she's been playing field hockey her whole life, and that's her second to last game, and a really tight group of girls. So she's really gonna miss that, and something she'll have to just adapt to, because it's a big change. But I think she's ready for it. But she'll miss the girls for sure.
Seniors Lucia Pompeo and Lauren Knight were also honored during today's ceremony. Here's what Coach Nina Klein had to say about these 4 players and their legacy.
Impact that they've had within the locker room space itself, and I think they're a really driven group. They're really compassionate and caring for one another, and the big push this year is to really create a family-like program. And I really think our seniors have made the locker room an environment that people want to be a part of, and I can't thank them enough for what they've done from a cultural perspective for this program.
The Bobcats will finish out the season on Friday against Temple in Philadelphia. Reporting for Q30 Sports, I'm Patrick Walsh.
Now, after dropping their first game of the week to Manhattan, the men's soccer team also took on Iona for their Senior Day on Saturday. There would be a different outcome than the women's soccer team as the Bobcats fell 1-0. This is the third time this season that the men's side has been shut out in conference play. Iona's Sergio Gonzalez-Fernandez scored on a penalty kick in the second half. Eric DaCosta's squad is currently second to last in the MAC standings. The team still has a path to the postseason if they win the rest of their games. They'll try to battle back into contention against Merrimack on Wednesday at home.
On Saturday, the women's basketball team took on the Southern Connecticut State Owls for preseason action. Returning from injury, Jackie Grisdale hit several key threes to keep the Bobcats in the game early. Galraviv started for QU at point guard, leading the Bobcats to secure a 62-45 victory over the Owls. They will get their regular season underway next week at Holy Cross.
Now, Jack, there were 8 games going on this weekend, and somehow, someway, the producers here were able to cut it down to just 5 of the best plays.
Connor, let's dive into our top 5.
Let's get right into it. Top play, number 5, Battle of Whitney Avenue at Ingles Rink. Catherine Stockdale slings it towards the net, and Taylor Bruschi taps it in for the game-tying goal.
Play 4, men's hockey. How about defense to offense? Jack Ricketts steals the puck and is off to the races. He scores on the forehand flick. Second goal of the year for the former Holy Cross captain.
Play number 3, women's soccer at Manhattan, and Anna Bean from the corner flag with the laser beam across the entire pitch that put the Bobcats on the board. That would end up being the game-winning goal against the Jaspers.
Sticking with soccer, it's a tie game. Clara Bankston fires one off the top of the crossbar and it rattles in. She could not have placed that ball any better. That was the game winner too for the Bobcats.
Play number 1, men's hockey against UNH. Back to the rink, Aaron Schwartz goes 360, spins around like a ceiling fan for the goal. Bet he's a little dizzy after that one. Bobcats win that game 8-2. That's all the time we've got tonight. To stay up to date with the latest news on Quinnipiac Sports, follow us on Instagram and X at Q30 Sports. You can watch the full episodes on our website at Q30TV.com.
Thank you to all the producers and everyone working hard behind the scenes. I'm Jack Bergman. He's Connor Core. See you next week on Sports Paws.